everyone. This is Tatiana Diaz. I'm hosting Thrive and Shine for You. And this is a platform about authentic leadership and consciousness. More than that, it's a platform to invite people from around the world to share with us the changes they are making, the impact they are creating in this world in the way that they choose to live every day. So it's a lot of fun. We have men and women who come in and share their stories, and it's an authentic conversation that is very conversational. We have a lot of yummy fun, and today, talk about yummy fun, I've got this awesome woman I met at Good Morning La La Land at her own show she's hosting, and we became instantaneously soul sisters to the point where we show up dressed up in the same colors every time without even consulting each other. It's actually, I would say, a little corny. So without any further ado, this is Dr. Erin.
Ooh, I'm so happy to be here. There's only one mind, so of course we'll both tap into it. So
that's right.
The one mind said, wear black today.
Yes, exactly. So Dr. Erin, she is a doctor of divinity, the CEO of Good Morning La La Land. She's a best-selling author, global speaker, and she's launching the Soul Society, a project that is going to be extremely juicy, that with which we are looking at collaborating and co-creating, and it's going to be amazing. So I had a big crush on you when I first met you.
Ooh.
Yeah, like in a sister way, right?
Totally.
It was just like we just
There's
merged.
chemistry.
There's
There's chemistry between friends, chemistry between your lovers, chemistry
Yeah.
between your business, and we had that. We definitely had that.
Right? And it's just about fun. So Erin was saying at the beginning that she just wants to be wherever she's having fun with her girlfriends. And I think this is really so cool because it is about life. It's about enjoying life. And what else is there in our life if we don't enjoy the work we do, if we don't enjoy the people we're with, if we don't enjoy every single part of life? That is pure joy for me. And that's been a shift for me in my life. So how did you come to all this work? Because we all have a story, and we're going to dig a little bit into the story of how did you come to choosing that much fun in your life?
That much fun. It's called having the relative other days where you're like,
Correct.
Why the hell am I doing this?
The contrast.
The
I call it the
contrast.
contrast. The contrast allows us to pick and choose.
Right.
Whether we want to live in joy or in fear or in pain and suffering, right?
Well, I mean, I was driving down Sunset Boulevard back from Malibu yesterday. I spent the day with my cousin, and we had this beautiful, glorious day.
Ate the whole buffet. That's what I saw.
Yeah, I ate the whole. I kid you not. I've been on this zero carb just because I have low blood sugar. And I thought I would try this out for a month. And I decided to have cake yesterday. And let me tell you,
Ooh.
I literally felt like I was on drugs. I was like comatose from it. I had to go to sleep. It was gnarly. But before that, I was driving back on PCH back from it. And I was with my cousin. And we're having this exact same conversation about how we're all living our dreams. I don't have anybody in my life that's not living their dream. If you're not up to living your dreams, you don't belong in my life, period. And so, and in
Exactly.
saying that, we get so caught up in our dreams that we get in that hustle mode.
Yes.
And the social media and the emails and blah, blah, blah. There's days where I find myself, I haven't left my computer other than maybe having my spiritual practice and some food. And it's not okay. I need to be around the people that I love, tapping into source, doing the meditation with the people that I love. And that's why I'm creating this, because I want to spend more time face to face with people that I love.
Love that. It matters. I love what you just said, that even though we live a life of spirituality or consciousness, I think that the fact that we are human always comes back in the picture. I mean, we get taken back to ego, and we get to spend too much time behind a computer, behind a phone, chasing more than just the dream, and bringing ourselves back to knowing exactly what the dream is and remembering what is the dream. The dream is really living in joy, living in
Now,
you know,
for sure.
in the now, in joy. So how do you remind yourself how do you catch yourself?
I remember one of my mentors, he was so genius, total metaphysical magician. And he would say, you're here to experience yourself as being a master of limitation. I mean, think about it. If we're already all omnipotent beings, we're spiritual beings, we're here to have a relative experience. And part of that is really enjoying our human beingness. So how do I remember that? It's usually because I come to my face ground first, sliding across the pavement. And I'm like, oh yeah,
Ow.
this isn't
Ow.
working so well after all. Let me get back to my spiritual practice and have a Zen moment in the now.
Two extreme examples of, sliding with your face first and, let me think. I am actually.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to have a spiritual practice and and be present.
So how did you, what was the first part of your life until you made that switch, or have you always been spiritual?
Sure. No, I grew up in a pseudo hippie commune in the hills of Santa Barbara, and I literally had no rules. My mom was anti any kind of spirituality, and I was one of those kids that I just was like, why are we here? What are we doing? And there was no answers. And then there was, a lot of chaos, some drugs and alcohol through high school, dysfunction all around me pretty much. And then I had an eating disorder from the time I was 17 to 20. And then I thought, I'll get married. That will solve all of my problems.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got married.
Blame it on the guy. For
so
sure.
I got married at 21. Then I had a stillborn at 22. So that's what sent me on my track, because I had one of those moments. I'd given birth to his dead body, and you have to bathe your dead body, the baby, and dress your dead baby and go home without your dead baby. And so the next day I woke up completely insane and went down to the mortician's house alone, don't know where anyone was, and just had one of those moments alone with his body, saying goodbye and thinking, he's gone and his body's here, we're not these bodies. And that sent me on my spiritual track of awakening. And so that became the biggest blessing of my life that gave me my awakening. And, it's hard to birth your new self. It's a tough one.
My God, it is. And it's an ongoing experience. I was interviewing someone, actually Richard Barrett, who's created the Barrett Value System Center, which is a system for evaluating consciousness, the different levels, 7 levels of consciousness. Wow. Really, really fascinating man. I love him. And we were talking about, actually we did a pre-recording this morning. We were talking about how it's not about just the path or the journey, but in his opinion, it's more about the destination. And I found it fascinating because we all speak about the fact that it's about the journey, and not the journey, right? Because we want to be reminding ourselves that we are in the moment, that, and yet he says it's about the destination. The destination is knowing fundamentally that we are in our soul. Like, we are our soul. And yes, we do all kinds of stuff and things happen to remind us that we need to be there. But in fact, that's the destination. It's to live daily in our soul as a soul, as a living soul. And so
people forget that. They think you're going to be immortal someday. You're immortal now. You're not your body, you're not your beliefs, you're not whatever.
Right.
You're already immortal, you're already eternal, you're already an all-knowing spiritual being. Yeah.
And all that we need is within, except that the consistency we all have is to go on the outside, just like you thinking when you were, and we all did that, of course, but you thinking when you're in your 20s that, well, I'm just going to get married because that's going to solve all problems. And of course, I'm going to blame it on that guy after, whatever.
That's right.
Right?
I was really good at that. Super good at that.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Until we get to that point where it's all about self-responsibility. Like, there is no blaming society, the world. We can make our choices every day in deciding that, we can blame certain political figures, we can blame society, we can blame our parents, we can blame the man in our lives, we can blame our kids. Oh my God, they're so hard to... we can blame anything and everyone. What matters most in my opinion, is to take on this sense of self-responsibility and really owning what we're going through and where we want to be, and that soul's purpose. And so when we're there, then we can listen more to what's going on. But it's a hell of a journey or destination and we all awaken at different times, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his 7 levels of consciousness are, but I'm sure there's people out there that you've probably experienced enlightenment moments. You've had, total out of body, and you've experienced your true self. And then you can touch on that, and then you can also become so human again. But I don't know if you ever lose sight of knowing that you're just having the experience. I remember having an enlightenment moment and thinking, oh, this is so amazing, I've arrived.
Yeah.
And then
the moment I thought that, I'd be like whacked in the face one more time.
And then having the moment of being like kind of sad over something and realizing that was actually where I felt my true enlightenment, because I realized I'm not this sadness, I'm just experiencing this. And I think it's okay to like dance between all of it and just know that you're going to maybe go through all 7 layers and levels of that consciousness, sometimes in a day. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And taking a step back and not believing that we are that sadness or we are that pain. It's like, it's going to pass.
Yeah.
I remember people telling me that it's going to pass. It's going to pass.
You know what I love about, like, say, the New Thought movement is there's a zenned out space where you can get all knowing and present and not attached to anything in this life and all that stuff. And you can also fully embody your unique divine expression, like fully have an opinion, have attachment where you want attachment, and fully own this human being experience. And so for me, I like both of those things.
Right.
I like getting into that zenned out place, and I like also being, in the middle of the concrete jungle of LA and having an opinion and really attaching to my specific self-expression. And I think there's like people only view spirituality as that zenned out space, and that's just not the truth. It's not the truth.
It's it becomes a concept that's actually hard or challenging to practice on a daily basis, because it almost wipes out the human part of us, and staying always in that level is
or judgment,
or
a
judgment.
Spiritual elitism, like, oh, if you're only like, so zenned out and you don't ever have any
maybe that's an LA thing
or whatever.
too.
Yeah. Maybe that. Yeah, you're probably right. It's just an LA. Maybe it's just the people I hang out with now.
But I see it and feel it as well.
Or like you're only allowed to wear white and have,
right.
You have to have particular, and it's just another
and here
identity,
we are both
right?
showing up with black today.
That's why I wore black today, just to say F you, spiritual life.
Okay, now we're getting into some juicy stuff. That's what we were talking about before. That's
right.
Awesome. So how does that translate on a daily basis for you? Meaning, what's your life like, and how do you, with that, help other people?
I love that. For me, it was a choice. I was blissed out in Bali one time. I went there, and I just was so blissed out, so a walking meditation all day long. And I thought, well, I could just do this. I could really just do this for the rest of my life. And I feel like there's a point in time in your spiritual track that you have to make a decision and a choice of where you're going to be in your spirituality. And for me, there was a conscious decision to come here where my karma, my lineage is, and my family and my friends, and decide to make an impact here. I could easily go over to Himalayas, easily go over to Bali, and just zen out and hold consciousness for all of us. And that's great. There's lots of masters that do that. Thank you for that. But for me, I had to do that. So now, I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, do my practice, get on doing an online platform, have a show. It's a grind. And then you just have some balance, and you just do what you can do, and everyone's just doing the best they can do. And I don't think it's about being somebody that, generally people are good people. Generally people are good. Yeah.
And it's about finding what suits you. I mean, in making that choice to not just, and I don't mean just, but in making that choice to not be the one, or not be one of those who want to remove themselves from the day-to-day grind of an economic world and business world, and holding space and also being actively involved in society and making a difference, that's a choice that works best for you. And there is, again, nothing wrong and no judgment for those who stay in the Himalaya.
One of the greatest compliments I was given, for me anyway, one of the greatest compliments is somebody said, "You make spirituality accessible." And I think for so many people, they think, "I don't want to become a hippie or give up and renounce all my things," and you don't have to.
No.
You know, there is a balance, and there's a book called Abundance, and the reality is that we have innovation that can take care of toxins, that can convert salt water to pure water. We have technology that can help us recycle things like clothing and whatever else. So we can have the finer things in life and have these material things and still be okay with being in alignment with Mother Nature and not hurting the earth. We're in a transitional period right now. We are destroying it in some ways, but we have the technology, we have the ability to have, and that's what I truly believe our work is here, is to live with 1 foot in the ethereal and 1 foot fully in the material. And balancing that out, we're already the ethereal. We don't necessarily, we want to be able to find our unique expression and live with technology and with these things, but not be the effect of the things or not harm.
Yeah.
We do have responsibility.
Absolutely. So how do you help people every day?
I hate that word because I don't think anybody needs help. I'm trained.
I don't like that
I
word
know,
either,
no.
but somehow I felt like I was called
Right?
to use it.
Yeah. I'm trained highly in subconscious reprogramming. So what happens in the subconscious is there's mental pictures. It's all done in mental pictures. You can call it the Akashic record spiritually.
Yes.
Or it's like having, I always use the same analogy, I'm going to use it again right now, it's like having a computer. Your body is like your computer. So your actual body, if you touch it, it's like your hardware. You only have so many neurons, you have so much of a DNA, this is your hardware. Your software of your computer is your belief system, your programming. You've been programmed through your lineage, through your beliefs, through your parenting, through the movies you saw, and then you have the operator. You're the operator. You're not this body. You're eternal. When this body dies, you'll live on. And so you can't have a computer without a great operator to work it. You're the operator. So in subconscious work, we go in and we take the mental pictures around your trauma. We first deal with trauma. We pull up that mental picture. So imagine like you have a computer and it's not working well. You have files that are up, you have programs that are up, and you have that little spinning ball, right? So the same thing happens with you. Why people get confused, why they begin to have mental issues, is because they have too many programs running. They have so many mental pictures that are constantly being pulled up because they're not complete. They have limiting beliefs attached to those mental pictures. They have charge from trauma around those mental pictures. They need to pull back up all the files, complete them down, shut them down, and reboot their computer. And that's what subconscious work, that's what we do in there. So we do that, and we of course do daily spiritual practices to tap into truth, to tap into the energy that be. We release the limiting beliefs and allow the truth to come in. So it's kind of like, imagine that it's you and the sun is your highest consciousness, and you have all these clouds between you and your consciousness. Those are limiting beliefs. So as we clear out those clouds, the sun, the truth of the universe shines in, and your perspective shifts, your consciousness shifts, your identity shifts. Spirituality is the reality. Everything is spiritual. And the true work is going to the identity of the I am. So the entire work is shifting your identity and cleaning up and clearing out your limiting beliefs. So that's the work. That's how you help.
Awesome. That's how you help. Okay,
That's
what's
how
the
you
better word?
Oh, what's the better word? For
Inspire?
me,
No.
and I mean, it's really just having consciousness. You're having the highest consciousness. And whatever tools that is to bring that out. Sometimes you can walk in a room and you're so powerful just with your consciousness that people shift instantaneously. There's
Absolutely.
no work to be
That's an
done.
energy field that we create around us,
Yeah.
right? That's why we attract the like-minded people when we are vibrating at that level. That's how we tap
That's why we tap into the black clothes on all the time.
Exactly. Or
What was
the
our
white dresses
last time we met, we literally came to lunch and we both had like identical white
it
dresses.
was so corny that I actually didn't post it.
I didn't either.
We took a picture. We're all excited. And then you didn't post it. I didn't post it because I'm like, we're corny. It's like beyond. It's beyond what we can post, really.
Hey,
right?
you've got good style, so I'm.
Well,
gonna
you
just
got
take
good
it
style,
as a
sister.
compliment. I love all your jewelry.
Oh yeah, that's
She has
another
the best
thing.
jewelry.
We are doing jewelry eventually. I think we're doing much more things, but and that's the yummy part. And I want to hear what you find the yummiest part of having
Sex? Just kidding. What? Yummy
No,
what?
no, we're going back to
We're
that.
joking. She was like, let's talk about something juicy. I'm all vaginas? No, I'm just
Well,
kidding. Just kidding.
Juicy is all encompassing. I mean, it includes sex. It includes.
Hey, I love
just
the conversation
everything.
about sex and relationship. I think it's a fun one, and I think it's something that needs to be had in our culture.
Absolutely.
I think that we are so like behind the times in this whole
Expand
relationship
on that.
thing.
You've opened a great topic. We're beyond times.
Well, the reality is that whether you consider yourself spiritual or not, there's a debate, of course, of is there creation or evolution? And I believe there's both. There is the creation that's always from the factor of what comes through consciousness, and then it evolves out in evolution. And I believe that our context and construct of what relationship is in the romantic stance of our culture is ridiculous. Let's just say ridiculous. Yeah.
Because?
Because it has so many expectations.
Correct.
That don't serve. They don't
Yes.
serve people to really
Yes.
flourish in
And
their own unique expression.
So where do you think those expectations come from, though?
Of course, from our beliefs of what we think, how we think people should act or how they shouldn't act, all the judgments.
And
this
placing
isn't
responsibility
please,
on the other one, not ourselves.
And let me get it straight. I'm all about commitment. Commitment is a whole different conversation than having the expectations around. So I believe that each person deserves to have whatever expression authentically works for them in
For them, yeah.
relationship. But I think that, and over again, the upsets, when I work with clients with subconscious work, we go through a whole process around upsets. And upsets always come down to failed expectations and wanting something for somebody that they didn't want for themselves, not accepting people as they are. So in the Vedas, they talk about as it is. That's how the whole saying, it is what it is, right?
Right.
That comes from really that saying, like,
It's a
if we
deeper
just-
source than
yeah.
it is what it is.
That's La La Land's version of the Vedas. It is what it is. Yeah. So I think it's a fascinating topic that we talk a lot on the show. Fridays we have dating, love, and relationships. And
I haven't watched that one. I should
I
totally
don't know. I
tune
just think
in.
it's one of those places that so many people are not evolved in the realm
I
of
totally agree. And I
relationships.
mean, I see it around me all the time with the girlfriends I have, with my own dating process. And what has been extremely obvious to me is again, this sense of, that is, to me, paramount. People not taking responsibility for their own limiting beliefs, their own expectations, not even being aware that they have some, and we all have some, but being aware that we do is freeing, and then not placing it on others is an entirely different world if we were able to do that.
Yeah.
And yet, in the dating process, so many are so scared, so frightened to be transparent, to speak their truth, to open their heart and just say it as it is. Like, why do we have to play this game of pretending that I don't like you, or I like you, but I'm not going to say it right away, or I have to. There's a specific time frame, that I have to respect before this happens or that happens. There are so many people stuck in relationships or out of relationships, and when they're out of relationships, it's like they're stuck in this rolling of dating that leads nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating because the ultimate relationship always is between the lower self and the higher self, the source. All our relationships are the projection and reflection of our ability or inability to love. And so relationships really, it's like fascinating because you can witness it. You see it with your friends. It's literally a place like, what belief do you have around love? And then you just watch them have the next person come in and play that role of whatever they need. Oh, I believe love hurts and has to abandon. Oh, here we go. Here's the next person that's going to come in and play that role for you. Oh, I, whatever it is. And you just watch this role, this story play over and over again for people with a different, character that comes into their life. And I just think that it's an interesting place because it's all about polarity. But polarity comes from limiting beliefs. So what happens when you truly become an evolved human being and you no longer have a limiting belief? You don't generally have as much polarity. And so it becomes confusing because you're like waiting for that chemistry. But that chemistry, a lot of that chemistry was simply just your limiting beliefs pulling in and magnifying somebody that's going to play out that limiting belief story.
Okay, so let me dig a little on this because I work a lot with polarity since I work a lot with the feminine, the masculine, and so I believe that polarity on an energetic level is very important, which also will be created by your own beliefs or limiting beliefs, correct?
Yeah, it can be. You can be conscious to your polarity and create it actively, or you can be passive and just have the polarity play its way out for you. Mm-hmm.
The polarity play its way out for you.
Meaning if you have a limiting belief in your subconscious, like love hurts, you're going to automatically have polarity around somebody that's being drawn in specifically for that polarity.
Right, exactly. So then how do you view polarity around the masculine and the feminine in between?
Can I be honest about this?
Well,
I can't stand the whole divine masculine feminine crap. I hate that.
What does that mean though?
But because
it depends what it means to you.
It's role playing. Let's just get it straight, and that's fine. And you can play that role play if you want to play out that role play.
Right.
But the reality is that it's like, oh, when I'm in the bedroom, I'm now going to put on this one thing. And then when I'm at work, I'm going to put on this other thing so that I can have polarity with my man here. And then I can have the different polarity when I'm at work. And I think it's great, but I just think that it's like, first of all, we're all divine, masculine and feminine.
Absolutely,
inside,
we are.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's fine.
As
if you
much one or the other. Absolutely.
So if you need to get turned on sexually to play out those roles, then consciously create those roles. But let's not call it the divine masculine and feminine. It's simply role playing. Right. Period.
Yeah.
Who's to say what's masculine or feminine? If I'm a little bit more masculine, I'm going to draw on the perfect, equal like masculine and feminine man, whatever that relates to.
Right.
And the roles of what is masculine and what's feminine is a programmed thing that our culture has told us. It is not a masculine or feminine thing.
So you don't believe that there are qualities that are inherent to the masculine or the feminine?
Yes, but we are evolving past that.
Well, because we've, as women, have stretched the masculine within us in the business world. I mean, we are way more masculine, I think, than we've ever been.
Have you ever met a gay man in West Hollywood? Who's to say there's one thing that's more masculine or feminine? That is something that's been programmed into us of what it means to be masculine and what it means to be feminine. From, maybe the standpoint of way back when, we're evolving past that.
We are.
So for me, that whole conversation is beautiful, and it is a little old school, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I'm just going to have...
And what's the new school?
The new is really to find your own unique expression, whatever that is for you. And that may be embodying more masculine, more feminine, whatever that is, and being authentic to what truly is there for you.
Okay, so totally in agreement with that. Yeah. Absolutely. Because it will vary from person to person.
Completely.
Absolutely. I'm not really privy to like the local conversations about divine feminine. I'm still pretty new
I
here.
love being totally extreme in my opinions, and I get to be, so,
And you need to have those opinions, right? Mm-hmm. Like we said at the beginning, opinions matter, and it's your view of the world. What I think is really interesting is even though there is still not a separation, but a difference in what is feminine or masculine. The two can be embodied just in different proportions according to the person, according to the choice of the person, right? And that's really what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's totally okay if a woman is wanting one day...
But wait, and even just what you said, what is more masculine and what's more feminine?
It depends on the qualities.
Yeah, what are those qualities? Because for me, that I don't relate to that.
Well, for instance, being extremely strategic and planning is a masculine quality.
So why is it more masculine to be in the head? Only because someone told us that. You could be completely feminine and be in your head, or be a man and be in their head. So let me take you to the teaching of science of mind, and what I'm trained in as a New Thought minister is that the masculine is actually the part that is the thinking. It is what it actually informs the subjective mind, which is the subconscious, and that's the feminine. That's
Right.
what births that into the world,
Right.
right? So it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman to have that masculine. That's the thinking, and that's the actual thing that implants the thought.
So what do you call it? An energy?
You can call it masculine, but I don't like that personal word because I think it's so identity driven, falsely identity driven. So for me to say masculine or feminine means nothing.
So what means something?
It means
then?
creating an effect. Creating, it's the creative factor that is actually implanting a thinking decision into the subjective mind, and the birthing is the womb. It's that medium, the subjective mind. So you will see the fluttering of people go, oh, it's the feminine is maybe what's more elegant or whatever. Why is that more feminine than masculine? Who says that?
Don't particularly
Right?
believe that, but I do believe that there is a magic to both, and
For sure.
and
we do both.
and we do both. And I like to identify it so that there is a point of reference for me, and there is a way to for people to and my clients to identify where they're at, so that without judgment, but so that they understand more about themselves.
That's about them living their truth, finding what
Correct.
works for them in their roles,
Correct,
in
exactly.
their sexuality, in wherever they want to be more dominant or not, or whatever. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone gets
Right.
out there, but let's not necessarily call it masculine and feminine. Why do we call it masculine and feminine? That's the invitation for us to have a conversation, because that's not one thing or the other. To receive, yes, we have a womb as a woman that's receiving, and the man is penetrating. So that's where that penetration and receiving came
Right.
into place. But a man can receive
Absolutely.
just as a woman can receive. So
Absolutely.
I just think that there's identity that gets confusing for people.
I get that, because I actually, when I was first privy to the whole masculine feminine concept or difference, it was brought to me in a way that was criticism. I wasn't feminine enough. I wasn't this enough. I wasn't that enough. Or I was too much here, and I was too strategic, and I was too driven, and I was too ambitious. And it was brought to me by a man I was dating at the time who was. So I started by resenting it, and then I thought, maybe there is something to it, so I dove deeper.
Right.
But it was brought to me in a way that felt like judgment, and that's what I think you're talking
Yeah.
about. I don't want to go into that.
Find
either.
your unique expression. My mentor always used to say that relationships are the opportunity to discover more and more of what we do and do not like. So yes, we could date somebody that has different qualities, and it either works for you or not. You don't have
Yeah.
to make the person wrong.
Absolutely.
Like it either works or doesn't work.
Which
Yeah.
happens all the time in society, right? Everyone likes to make the other wrong for something as judgment. So what is still a challenge for you in your life?
Oh, the phone. No, just kidding. Emails. What is the challenge? I would say that. I would say just for me, it's the balance of technology in my life. That because I have so much, like I have content literally that flows out of me. I have 20 books in me that still need to get written. I have so much content that I constantly am drawn to technology because it's a platform to take it out and do it all. And so the biggest challenge is to find the balance between that and really just tapping into source, getting with Mother Nature, being present, because I just get so like I could literally just create content 24/7.
Well, you do create a lot of
Yeah,
content.
every day.
I mean,
create so much content.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. You're always on Instagram or Facebook.
Daily
or,
podcast, daily show,
Yeah.
daily
Yeah.
interviews, daily it's just it's a lot, and in a good way.
So what's the solution then? In it's delegating with a beautiful assistant who is in studio with us, and what else?
What we teach in Mastermind is to always. It's like they teach that the cliche or the metaphor, is that what you call it? Where you have the glass container, and if you have all these items you need to do, some are big rocks, some are little sand. If you pour the sand in the container, you'll never be able to fit the big rocks in.
Right.
So you got to put the big rocks in first and then fill it up with the sand. So for me, it's like, okay, I've got to schedule out my vacations. I've got to schedule out my nights to hang out with my girlfriends. I got to schedule out, the daily spiritual practice and the working out. And then the rest is like, I'm literally this week is completely full all the way into like the next 2 weeks is I think I may have like a couple hours in between like things on the weekend. Like that's it. It's so full. Which is, I guess, they say an idle mind is a work of the devil. So
it's good.
Yeah.
And at the same time you realize it is your challenge.
Yeah, that's my challenge. Mm-hmm.
What moves you?
It's a great. What moves me is when people truly do come together in love. When it really works, when something just clicks.
You mean in an intimate relationship? Or
in all relationship for sure is friendship, but for sure in the intimate arena, I think it's something so magical and so special and quite frankly so rare. A lot of relationship, even people that are married, there's a huge divorce rate, and even people that are married aren't necessarily happy. Mm-hmm. It's the same whether you're single or whether you're married. There's happiness is for, there's certain people that are just able to be happy whether they're in something or not in something. But when two people click together and it truly works, there's so few people in my life that I've witnessed, but that's so magical and so precious. And I just think it's something to revel in this lifetime.
I love that. I agree.
What moves you?
Seeing what moves me is love in every way. So definitely clicking with someone with whom there is flow and it's easy, and it's that effortless chemistry where we start tapping into one mind, and we start thinking the same thing at the same time without even trying. It's not even about trying. It's just it happens, right? It's also seeing in my girls, who they are, and for me to witness in them reducing the gap between where they want to be and who they really are. So it becomes more about a sense of identity that's extremely clear for them. Like it's not just creating a dream. A dream for me is very, sometimes there is a bit of a distance. It's like a dream and there is quite a ways to go before you get to the dream. But for people to create ways to live in that dream reality, if we are going to use the word dream.
But being a parent, so for me, it totally moves me. Watching my son, who's 23 now, and just watching him live his dreams out is so moving and so touching. Someone said, they actually reached out to me earlier today on social media. They said, how do you do it? Like it seems like you're up all the time and you're like on it every day. And I'm like, well, it's because I have a son and he's out of the house now. And so after you've raised a child and you know how much energy and how much great effort that takes, it's like you can do anything after you've accomplished that because you're just freed up. But yeah, definitely moved by my son for sure. He's extraordinary.
And moved by people who experience a shift. Being privileged enough to be moved by witnessing that shift in them that I can support. And, whether it's tears in their eyes or a big silent moment where I hear nothing and I'm like, are you there? Like if I'm, working with them on the phone and they're like, oh my God. Like, so yeah.
Truth, tapping in, watching somebody truly, truly tapped into source and doing an affirmative prayer or just completely holding the light, that's my jam. Like that, like there's nothing anywhere like that. And you just get in that zone of channeling on stage or whatever, that's where the magic happens. That's where the miracles happen. That's where I'm like, That's why Soul Society is so important to me. Because when you're around your girlfriends, you're around making a difference, transforming lives, and you're able to get in that space, and there's nothing like it.
And I think the collective energy that allows us all to rise in that one energy when we are in a group setting, and which is either an event or we are in a circle of girlfriends or whatever, is magical. It's just it allows everyone to get to this other level of vibration that is unlike anything. So
maybe we should do a little affirmative prayer right now.
yeah.
Let's teach the audience a little bit about affirmative prayer. Maybe many of you use it already, but as a trained in the New Thought movement, we use affirmative prayer, which pretty much has 5 steps to it, which is, sometimes you get into breath a little bit before, whatever it takes to get into the zone, putting on some music or whatever. So I'm just going to invite, if you're listening in, let's do a little affirmative prayer. So the first step is really acknowledging. It's acknowledging the power that be. It's acknowledging that one presence, that true I am. And then the second step is really unifying and recognizing yourself, that the true source of who you are is that. And the third is revealing the truth, whatever it is that you're wanting to know the truth around, whatever you're struggling in life to really know that truth. The fourth is basically gratitude, really visioning and calling in what that looks like to have moved and shifted past whatever's going on, but to fully embody that. And then the fifth is releasing it, knowing that it's been heard in the subjective mind, the feminine part of you, and releasing it, not having to control it or fix it. So let's do this together, okay?
Okay, all right.
So let's take your hands and kind of put them together, and you can take a deep breath into the nose. You can suspend the breath and then let it out. Take another deep breath in. Exhaling out. And so what I recognize is there is this infinite divine power that be. There's this one life source, this divine source that has created every last drop of life. It's created the universe. It's created the cells. It's created everything. It's created the traffic, the technology. Every last drop of it's been created from this one conscious source. And what I recognize is that we are that you're that I'm that everything at my core is that information, that wisdom, that truth, that knows how to breathe, that knows how to move the blood, it knows how to do everything. I don't have to do anything. It is doing it. It's the truth of who I am. And so I recognize today that I step into this Monday manifestation. I step into this grace. I step into my highest consciousness, that I am. And what I choose for myself today is to create a community that I love. To use technology instead of it using me for the highest good, to speak truth, to live truth, to connect to our true selves, to create health and amazing relationships, to create and claim our birthright of prosperity and abundance, and to have total creative expression at all points in time. And so I simply know this in gratitude. As I see this, I feel this, I know this truth is my destiny. And so I simply release it, no need to force it, no need to try and figure it out. I simply know this. I know it's heard. I know this is my truth. I know it's been commanded in my subconscious mind. As together I just release it, as together we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
I feel so much better. I'm so zenned out.
Yay, thank you.
Yay.
That was fun. So we were talking at some point as well about the fact that you are a minister and that you have, and this is, I think, the expression for Soul Society. We were talking about finding ways to bring everyone together on one platform. Are you going to be able to do that in a physical form? It's not going to be just online, right? So can you talk a little bit about Soul Society and give us an idea of how it's going to be manifested?
I love that. As a minister, I was going, I just don't see traditional church. I think that the younger generations are moving away from that, and I honor that, and spiritual centers are so important. For me, I simply, when I'm creating anything, I ask, what is it that I want to experience? And what I desire is to come together in community, not just with a pulpit preacher, preaching up there, but where we're all having a voice, where we're all collaborating, where we're working together on whatever it is, living the truth instead of just knowing the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people generally know the truth. They need to embody it. They need to practice it. They need to incorporate it in their business life and in their personal life. A daily spiritual practice is not just, when you're meditating. It is your entire life. You're walking.
It's your entire day.
Entire day.
And night.
Right? So for me, I feel like the greatest movement right now is offline. Spirit has brought us together online and had us, connect with people all over the globe. And it's been incredible. Now we're starting to have it's molding its way. It's kind of starting to have like-minded community. At first it was like everybody's connected with everybody. And now it's kind of like, how are we going to morph into like-minded communities? And then now we're doing that. Now it's time to come off again.
Well, there is always a swing, right? And that's how history is formed. There's always an extreme, and then we come back to balance. And I love that because being fresh in an industry of coaching, as my past experience in business has been in a completely different industry. So the past 5 years developing and being present in this industry, parts of me was looking at the way to create funnels and marketing, and it's all online. And a big part of me is resisting that because I connect so much more with people in a real way. I want to create more events, and so that I have that live, real, authentic connection, not online. So I love that you're creating that, and that's why I'm so excited to be collaborating with you on that level.
So we'll have both.
We exactly. The key is to bring, I think, both together, but really emphasizing on doing it in a way that is physical. It's a physical presence. So we've been so much behind our computers and our phones, and it's been it's the life of our millennials too. So I don't know if that's probably one of your desires to come back to come. I mean, I'm looking at Erin. Nobody can see her, but she's a great representative of the millennials. And so, is it one of your desires to come back to more realness, more physical presence? Are you guys trying to come back to that? Yeah.
At least me.
Yeah,
At least Erin. She says, at least me, yes.
I love technology, but it's not something that
Right.
I thrive for every day.
Even though she is like our technician here, she says she loves technology, but it's not a medium she thrives to be on all the time. And I think there is a lot of value to that. I think the more we create that, those opportunities.
For sure. And what will happen is, it starts first as small, like we'll be in LA, we'll have monthly events, we'll be online also. Hopefully it'll start becoming weekly events. We'll have conference calls online once a week and meetups every month to begin with. But if you're out there and you're in a different area of the world, because maybe you can't come together in LA, reach out, because my goal with it is to become something that is an umbrella for other people to take Soul Society and create their own, events in their own city or wherever.
Creating that ripple effect.
So then it can all be together ultimately online, but we are under and can take it out in different areas. I had people reaching out because I thought there's this thing called 12 steps, and it's amazing for recovery, but not everybody's in recovery. And people do need help. They need support.
Right.
So we need to have things that are just spiritual, where we can come together and have our practice and get our minds right and reboot our life, but not have an identity of some, whatever. I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a whatever. That's great, but it's against my practice to identify as something. You're not that. You're
Being
a spiritual
categorized in a way that limits us in some way, right? Back to those limiting beliefs.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. They're going to be fun events. They're going to not just be woo-woo spiritual. They're going to be kind of in between, like some spiritual thing, have some meditation, have some grounding work, but also have some fun, networking, being able to get dressed up. Not everybody wants to just be in robes when they're getting together. So, we can do our whole shtick.
We can rock it.
Right? And people need those things. They need to come together. They're part of a community. People are very lonely. They're so lonely. They're so lost.
We're wired for connections, and we keep, and judgment is part of that. We keep severing the connections. When we create judgment, we create separation, and we sever that relationship with self or others. And it's true. it couldn't be more real today.
It's so real. The divide versus the divine. I mean, we have a vine and we're one, and we will die. We'll literally die if we cut ourselves off. You have to find community. I don't care if it's through Soul Society or whatever. You have to create your tribe. You have to create your community. You will get sick if you do not have
You
love.
will.
Like literally, they
Absolutely.
have proven it. Like babies do not do well. They'll start dying if they don't have touch.
Exactly. And we used to raise our children in a community, in a family where everybody was involved, in a village, in a tribe. We are tribal. And so we need to come back to that.
Yep.
And on that note, this is it. We are pretty much done. And thank you so much, Erin. I'm
Thank you so much.
touched.
I love the conscious conversation. I love
Right?
just, it's like a ping pong table. isn't it?
Yeah, and it's important that we challenge each other in our belief system. So I appreciate
In
that.
the divine masculine and feminine.
That's
what you're trying to
right.
say?
Yes, it's
Hey,
good.
good. Let's
It's-
debate it. Come on.
I think it's important. We each have a view, and it's important to honor it and respect it, and talk about it. Why leave it in a cupboard? Because in fact, we actually see the same. We see it the same way. We just verbalize it
Yeah.
differently.
Semantics. It's all semantics.
Exactly. So let's get juicy and yummy and
We
create.
didn't talk
an-
about vaginas. That's my one
Well,
disappointment
that's going
of
to be
this
the
whole
next
thing.
show. We're going to be talking about sex and vaginas next time. With Tony Robbins, we talk about managing the V. And when I mention that, everybody thinks, managing the V? Like, you literally want your man to manage your vagina? Well, yes, on one side, but on the other, it actually means that he needs to manage the venting, which is a completely
venting.
different
Okay, good.
subject in itself. So thank you so much. It was awesome. I love you.
I love you too. It's been such a pleasure to have you in my life.
Same. Can't wait for more. Thank you, everyone, for joining. See you next time. Bye.
We'll